She said we were. Okay. This guy looking cool as
Let's all go into the hallway, get out of the stairwell. There's an echo out here and people aren't able to hear. The first thing when you notice, when you come up the back entrance of the European Hotel, is that thank goodness nobody alive can follow us and sneak up behind us while we're on the tour, because the stairway is so very noisy, as I'm sure you noticed, so that should put your minds at ease. Unfortunately, I can't guarantee that someone who's not alive won't sneak up behind you, but that's what you're doing here. It's a ghost tour. The second thing you notice is that here is where you're really going to have to start to use your imagination, because we realize that our decor is more Texas Chainsaw Massacre than it is fancy brothel and casino. But as you can see, we've been gifted with 14-foot high ceilings, modeled after the castles and palaces of Europe. The corridor was made deliberately wide so that a couple could walk arm in arm abreast, with one of them wearing a fancy frilly dress. The floors would have been gleaming wood.
I got hooked. I'm sorry.
This is the. Oh, oh shit. Oh shit.
The room where you find yourself in right now, we here at the historic Fairmont Hotel affectionately refer to it as the Vinegar Rowan room, because Vinegar Rowan was a rich Belle-Fourche cattle rancher who had the misfortune to fall in love with a lady who made her living in this room. One day he got in the red room. There you go. That's the bathroom. Storage by the owner.
It's hard to believe all the furniture is like this.
That's not a horse bed, that's the owner's bed. He was developed here a few years ago. He works long hours at the casino and he likes to take a rest and Is everybody in?
Yeah.
All right, this is the only room, as I was saying, that's still in use in the hotel. As I said, the owner likes to rest here between shifts. However, he's very careful to not rest here at night. Unfortunately, he broke his rule about that several years ago. He was awakened at 3:30 a.m. by some type of a spirit who was walking their fingers aggressively up his arm and to his shoulder and toward his face. It so shocked him when he woke up from a sound sleep that he suffered a massive heart attack. So he's very careful about resting in this room. This room is very paranormally active, and I'm particularly fond of this room because this room was my home for a week in the summer of 2010. I had been bartending downstairs at the Oyster Bay for 4.5 years and had had so many paranormal experiences in both buildings that for some reason I decided to challenge myself to a week in the haunted hotel. I was the night bartender, so all I had to do at the end of my shift was set the alarm, lock the doors, turn off the lights, and come upstairs to my lonely bedroom. I must admit that on the first night that I came upstairs, I second-guessed my choice of beds at the foot of my bed. I took the sheet off of my face, and lo and behold, at the foot of my bed stood the apparition of a red-haired woman wearing a green dress. She was about 5'8" in height. She just looked at me without any expression on her face, and she blissfully disappeared within a few seconds. But she remained there long enough for me to recognize her as having the same description as the apparition that the owner told me appeared to him when he was sleeping in what was then his third-floor bedroom in 1995. He relates the story that it was 3:33 a.m. on his... have everybody with us? Welcome to the second floor workshop. This is where we do most of the repairs that occur in the building. Both buildings, as a matter of fact, which often seem to be falling down around our ears. For those of you who saw the Ghost Adventures Ghost Show, you might recognize the far left-hand window in the workshop as the one that blew out during filming, creating quite the amount of drama and, of course, defying explanation. But as I said earlier, last summer we had the windows in both buildings replaced, so we're hoping that the windows stay safely within their frames. This area that is now the workshop during the era of the European Hotel was the lifeblood of the property. It was the private high-stakes casino wherein the gentlemen gambled away large amounts of money in between romancing the various brothel girls, and I've begun to conclude that the brothel girls also dropped an amount of their pay into this casino, but there's no way of telling that other than the fact that most people into prostitution were also into the other vices of gambling, opium, and drink. This was a two-room casino with one room on this side of the wall, the other room on the other side of the wall. The dealers offered games such as faro, poker, keno, blackjack, and roulette, and the dealers, who were here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, served as security for the brothel girls. Because except for the occasional lurid murder or suicide, here at the Europe, and it's often hard to get them on your cameras, and people complain about that.
I'm filming, I'm recording. So it just takes pictures, I'm filming it, and
right.
People won't pass me, so I'm gonna check it out later.
All right. Well, that's our cue to move to the other side of the hotel. Flying black plastic garbage can during filming, creating, in the words of the owner, scaring the shit out of all of us. Excuse my French. We had a lot of cans on the floor here a time ago before we had our roof repaired. The roof was leaking and the cans were catching the water. The roof has been repaired, the cans have been put away, and we still don't know why Zach got hit. Perhaps it was because he was just so unalloyingly obnoxious. At the back of this room is a large double window where we get pictures of our most frequent apparition that appears to our guests on the tour. That is the apparition of a small boy about waist height, who was the son of one of the girls who lived and worked in the mansion house, and who apparently liked to keep her young son in a freestanding wooden closet in the back of the room while she was with gentlemen. And one night while she was with a man, her little boy. All right.
All right. Yeah, you go. Sure. You go home. Zip. There you go. Oh yeah. There we go.
It's a $1,200 camera. I got it for $400.
Nice.
And then the infrared light, I just used $40.
front rooms where the plate glass kitchen windows are. We're not sure exactly which room has the bathroom and kitchen, but we know that one of them. Oh yeah, we have the rest of the second floor and the whole third floor.
So where are we right now? We're on the third floor?
We're on the second floor above the Oyster Bay Bar.
So like, wait, tell me.
Where are you from? Oh, how nice. Be careful if you go in this gaming room. The floor is about an inch higher than the floor around you. No one should trip and fall on this tour. Yes.
Some of the stuff that is in the first two rooms, is that original?
No, those are things that have accumulated over the 97 years. This hotel was tenanted one more than another, in 1898, but it's all one of these.
Oh, God, the windows are big.
Anyhow, the room where everyone finds themselves in now, folks, was called the Salon room or the sample room, whichever you choose. This is the room where the ladies hung out in between customers. Like I said, they were dressed to the nines and their deportment was very proper. They would have sung and danced with the gentlemen who were gambling next door at the high-stakes casino and who could look over at any time and see what girls were for rent at any moment at the European Hotel. I'm sure the ladies would have obliged the gentlemen with the dance if that's what would have been requested. The ladies would have been accompanied by a man playing an upright piano, who also, of course, served as security for the girls. The girls would have encouraged the gentlemen to gamble at any and all times here, I'm sure, because gambling was an important source of revenue at the European Hotel. The girls would have also passed light hors d'oeuvres, some finger food, and some drinks here. This room would have been very sociable.
Okay.
All right, Ben, you got this.
Downstairs, yeah.
I've been smelling cigars the whole time.
Yeah. Well, didn't she say she saw a cigar on the ceiling?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Holy crap.
Yes, there's a cigar bar in the basement where the swimming pool used to be, and it's one of the two places in the state of South Dakota that his grandfather did for smoking on the premises.
Yuck. Oh, support there.
This is when a lot of people tell me they start to feel dizzy on the tour. I'm not quite sure whether that's from climbing the steep, narrow staircase, or whether that's the different, heavier energy that so many people report experiencing upstairs here on the third floor. Perhaps it's a combination of both.
Dangerous.
Our psychic Amy from the Dead Files told us that our spirits up here on the third floor were particularly aggressive, that they were trying to figure out how to interfere with humans, and
That's how we
how
get to
to
the
hurt
fourth floor.
them.
I guess so. Ooh, got cold.
Experience with the spirits up here. I'm not at all surprised.
It's getting cold over here. What the heck?
I like it.
It's like cold over here.
This is where the 5 girls who had bedrooms upstairs socialize with the gentlemen, trying to get them to put their money down and get busy in the rooms.
Alright.
They're also the same as the brothel rooms on the second floor, except there was some silly attempt at renovation that I can't understand for the life of me. And the bathroom
It's cool.
associated with
She said
it.
we could see a bathroom
I
in one
don't
of
know
these.
why that was, but now you have free reign over the floor. I see that most of you have met her management. People like to take pictures of her. Because she's nice and still. They all get more than
So,
I got scared.
oh, because of water?
I didn't mind. Now you can see through the floor.
Imagine my surprise after the St. Patrick's Day wild weekend here in Deadwood. I came upstairs on the third floor for my next tour, and I found Mannequin sitting on the floor next to the bed. I'm pretty sure that she had human agency to move. I haven't seen her do any other way.
Cold spot.
I thought I did.
What the hell is this?
I feel like I have that feeling of anticipation something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
A one-armed mannequin with a scarf covering her main arm. Because we don't like to access people's disabilities.
It's a cool room, actually.
When you're sitting down in the area of the hotel, we can move on down the hall. You can go to the first enclosed room on the left, and I'll tell you what happened now.
I attempted to renovate these.
Got anything?
I haven't been looking. I just recorded. I'll look later. I'm pointing and shooting, and I'll
We'll wait for you right there.
deal with it later.
Oh, it's just a computer thing.
Hey, what about to the left? What's here?
It's more raggedy.
Question. If she's here. Okay.
Did I hear someone say question?
Yes.
What is it?
There's a bunch of candy in the
Yes.
windowsill.
Uh-huh.
Is there a reason for that?
Starting at Christmas, when someone left a foil wrapped chocolate rose there for Maggie, I guess they're leaving tributes to her, just like throwing coins into a fountain to go to
Not
Rome.
focus.
All right, folks, anybody who wants to hear the spiel of what happened in this room, I'm going to start. Of all the rooms that I take people to on the tour in the hotel, this is the room that elicits the most negative comments from my guests. Sometimes people walk into this room, pull their hoodie over their head, march out the room and into the hallway, and refuse to spend more than a few seconds in this room. Is anyone feeling acutely uncomfortable in this room here tonight?
I don't want to stand next to this bathroom. I'm gonna come in.
All right. We had a respectable business lady, middle-aged, a few nights ago. She wouldn't walk past the bathroom. She just stayed there. She found this room to be forbidding. I don't know why some people do, because unfortunately I have no lurid stories to tell about this room. As I said, the walls would have more stories than me, but I'm constrained by the truth. However, I can tell you of something very interesting that happened here about 3.5 years ago when the Dead Files production crew was here for the 3rd time shooting, and their psychic Amy was very concerned about the safety of people who spent time in the hotel, but especially people who spent time here on the 3rd floor. So she sent us 2 Native American shamans to do what turned out to be an 1.5-hour ritual to rid us of our historic spirits here at the hotel. They chanted and shook rattles, they burned cedar, sweetgrass, and sage, and a ghost, and certainly not a half of a ghost. I asked one of the older bartenders at the Bay, named Bill, who told me, oh, Kathleen, that's Sheriff Seth Bullock. He likes to hang out at the Oyster Bay Bar because most of the bartenders are young ladies and he likes to flirt with them. I was stocking the beer closet one night in the back of the Bay, and he appeared right in front of me as I was holding a case of beer, and then he just looked at me and turned to the side, walked directly into the wall, and disappeared. The next time I would see Sheriff Bullock was in the summer of 2010, which is, of course, the summer that I spent a week in the haunted hotel. It was again after closing, but this time both the lights were off and the doors were locked. I was with another male employee. We were behind the bar, and we both simultaneously saw the full-body apparition of Sheriff Bullock standing by the ATM and the restrooms. As soon as we saw the apparition, it went on the move, and it moved all the way across the Oyster Bay and into the Fairmont Hotel and up the stairs to the mezzanine where we talked history. He never seemed to indicate that two people were. I was surrounded by this warm paternal energy that came from behind, as if my father were hugging me and trying to tell me that I was going to be all right and that I would get home safely. It felt physically as if there were entwined lines of Christmas lights that were lit, that were all around my body. My body got hot and lit up like a candle. Every hair on my body stood up.
Dude, it's cold right here.
The embrace of the spirit for at least 45 seconds, if not for a full minute.
It's
at the end of the time,
really cold right here.
The experience just started to fade, the spirit went away, and I found myself alone in the dining room. I, as quick as you could imagine, ran to the corner,
and now it's gone.
Checked out on
it's
the
gone.
9 o'clock, ran down the hall, set the alarm, locked the door, and drove home safely. But that's certainly not an aggressive spirit. However, I know the spirit going on.
I heard a shuffle. Yeah.
There's like a second time like this.
I can't understand what's going on.
I got a couple flat sections.
And it's cold here again.
Oh, interesting.
It's cold here again.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, we had
it is.
over in the
What the hell?
a couple of nights ago. Anyway, I was on the 3rd floor of a haunted bed and breakfast in the Garden District talking to 2 other people when I happened to ask the question, is there disembodied evil in the world? I was immediately kicked aggressively in the rear end and pushed quickly, as fast as I could, across the small room until my nose was up against the musty wallpaper of the attic wall. 2 people watched this. They didn't know why I was moving so quickly and so strangely. I know the story.
It's cold here again. It's right here.
It's right here. Telling it, that is an aggressive spirit, and I've never had an experience like that in the hotel. You folks have been in the hotel for well over an hour. You've waited for the tour. You've been on the tour. Does anybody feel as if there's any negative spirits or demonic influences in the hotel? Is anyone feeling threatened?
You know, we started to eat downstairs. Last time my son's like,
Your perception?
I heard this twice.
Oh, that's not unusual. We get that pretty frequently.
Just the
This room's stuffy.
No, we're going into Maggie's apartment here.
oh, in here.
Maggie was our beautiful prostitute who had the rich boyfriend from Thermopolis, Wyoming in 1907, the same year that Vinegar shot his face off. She must have used birth control with her clients, but not with her boyfriend, because she became pregnant and felt that her unborn child belonged to this gentleman. And so she traveled one day by herself to Thermopolis, Wyoming, to confront him, to try to get him to marry her and make an honest woman of her. Instead of their interaction resulting in an engagement in 1907, it had recently married Mount Moriah, our Boot Hill, where Calamity Jane, Wild Bill Hickok, and Seth Bullock and others are buried. She's obviously a major presence here in our hotel. I'll remind you that she appeared to the owner, to me, and to someone on the ghost tour. There's always every night the offer of a free drink at the bar for anyone who can summon Maggie up in her rooms. Unfortunately, that drink has not been served as yet because it seems that Maggie appears when and if she wants, not when we knock on the walls, knock on the door. Maggie? Yes.
Any murders on this floor?
All I know is that Maggie jumped out of the window. I don't know any murders up here.
This room,
In that room, on the windowsill that has the candle.
Oh, that's why.
That's Maggie's tribute window, and that was her bedroom.
Okay.
Maggie Broadwater.
Is that just like a fire?
No, that's a storage area for luggage. The girls would have moved into the hotel with the big wooden steamer trunk, and two guys would have gotten a ladder and put it up there because floor space was at a premium. And when the owner bought the hotel, he found those storage areas in every room. In the other rooms, there are above the bathroom, stuffed with suitcases because they were renting rooms by the day. People couldn't pay their hotel bill. The landlord would confiscate their suitcases. And they would have to jump the train with nothing but the clothes on their back, losing their pictures, and God. Well, you mean when the hotel was filled with people? Yeah. Okay, the last full-time tenant here was, it's a weird hotel. I tell you, I stayed here. I would never stay here now after all the ghost shows and the ghost tours I've done. I guess I was scared to see those big
And then the second time you were really
Go down these steps, they're a lot more forgiving than those front steps. Unfortunately, that horrendous practice lasted well into the fact of the town becoming a more settled town, but it eventually was eradicated. We have a ghost book at the foot of the table. I see some of you have discovered it. If you're particularly brave, please also, in addition to your name, put the town where you're from. We like to keep track of where people are visiting us from. I don't think that the spirit should follow you, although I can't guarantee anything. Anyway, folks, I hope you had a little touch of the paranormal while you were upstairs. You certainly got a good deal of history of Deadwood's demi-monde. I want to say that I appreciate you taking the tour, and I want to wish you a good night.